Hi and welcome to Back to the Tactics board with Edge of Play. In today's video we're looking at the 4-1-2-1 formation used in nine-a-side. We'll look at some of the features and some of the issues you may face when trying to use this formation with your team. Here we have the players set up then in a 4-1-2-1 formation. Let's look at the features of this system. Well, first of all, you're playing 4 at the back and 9 aside. You're preparing your players for being in a 4-11 aside in the future. You've got a very solid defensive base, you've got the cover, you've got the support, you've got the balance. They can shift across, make it very hard to find space between them or around them. So you can see a real defensive basis to this team. And if your midfielders are tucking in, you can see as well a very solid central spine to the team, making it hard to play through the middle against you. Can be a really good formation for counter-attacking in as well, because you have that 4 at the back. You know, yes, you want your 7 and your 8 to do their defensive work and get in at times to these areas, but because you have the support behind them, the second in transition or just before transition, it looks about like the ball's about to be won back. They can be getting into these spaces here and bursting out with the ball. They have to be the right kind of players to do that, of course, but they can be getting the ball and driving out of there. Now, that might not always work against some sides who are well covered at the back, but because you're having 4 at the back and you've got your defensive midfielder there as well, you're almost bringing a team onto you. You know, you're unlikely to be pressing in this system, so you're almost sitting back. You bring a team onto you, that then leaves a space in behind them, and as they then take more risks and try and get into these areas here, if these players can be alert to the transition, getting on it and driving out of there, then you can have 3 on the attack from defence to attack quite quickly, look to exploit counter-attacks. If your fullbacks can be attacking and can get forward from here, it can go from being a defensive system as well to being a little more attacking. These players can push forward and all of a sudden you have more options. This allows your 7 and 8, who may have been doing the midfield and wing options at this point, to kind of move inside into these little pockets of space here. So if you have fullbacks with the right energy and ability levels to get up and down the pitch and offer attacking scope as well as defensive work, then it can give a lot more life to the formation and bring your attacking midfielders into interesting areas to receive the ball, which are hard to track. Let's look at some of the issues you may face in this formation then. Well, the obvious one really is that you can lack advance width either side. If you're expecting your 7 and 8 to tuck into midfield, which at times you certainly will be, it's not going to be until you regain possession and they can get forward again to give you any width, or your fullbacks can get all the way up here, which isn't going to be easy on a regular basis. You're going to lack advanced width, so you're going to bring a team onto you into these areas. You can see the amount of space the team could have, and your 9 can only cut that off so much. They're going to be exhausted if they're having to track left to right non-stop. So you need in movement to give you that width, and because you only have 1 up front, if they make that width for you, well, they've got nothing inside to play to, and they might struggle for support. You know, who's going to back them up soon enough? If you do give more license for your 7 and 8 to get forward, and they're much nearer to your striker than your midfielder, then it's your midfielder who can become isolated and have no one to play to, and have a lot of ground to cover. Now, yes, you hook this back 4, but there has to be clear communication about when they come in to support in here. If you play as a team that have width either side, you don't want your fullback getting drawn in here and then the ball being played into this space here. There might be times as well where one of your centre backs, one of your central defenders may be the one that has to come in, but again, look at the space they're leaving if there's not a reaction to that space being left by the other 3. So it can be nice and secure to have 4 at the back, but they need to be clear on when they're leaving that line, how the others react to that. It can go from being 4 to being 2 very quickly if 2 players, without communicating, both go and pressurise the ball. All of a sudden they leave a big space behind them. If one of the defenders isn't moving into midfield though, or closing down the ball, you'd expect an opponent to be getting players on the ball in these areas either side of your deep midfielder, and at least getting shots off. If they can't find space for through balls and to kind of beat your defence, they'll at least be looking to get shots off unopposed at times. Your 7 and 8 therefore are going to need really clear defensive roles. When we're out of possession, what are you expecting your 7 and 8 here to do? Do you want them to be kind of putting some pressure, to be supporting 9? Do you want them to drop in alongside number 6? You know, yes, that's solid defensively. You're cutting off all the gaps here and can work as two banks, a 4 and a 3 almost without the ball. But you're then bringing a team very much onto you and you've got big spaces they can exploit. If you're asking them to kind of hang further ahead of your centre midfielder, then they're having to cover a lot of ground, even defensively. Can be responsible for this whole area of the pitch and this whole area of the pitch on this side as well. So there's a lot of running there without the ball, and then you regain possession. Are you looking for these movements? You know, or are you looking for one of them to get nearer to number 9? Either way, a lot of running involved for those two players to give you attacking threat and then defensive structure. Without their running, it moves on to the problem of your centre forward, who not only is having to do a lot of the defensive work on their own. When the ball does get to them, if they do make a channel run or they get the ball to their feet in here, they're reliant then on support arriving quickly enough. Without that support arriving, they'll be isolated and the possession will be lost and attacks will end before they've even started. If your fullbacks are offering the attacking, then this is a strength in this formation. Suddenly you can have lots of attacking threat, and that gives 7 and 8, your attacking midfielders, much more licence to drift into interesting areas of the pitch. If they're not doing that, if your fullbacks are not having a good day or they're not fit enough to get up and down, then it can be a very defensive formation, which brings the team onto you and can be quite frustrating for your attacking players who are having to do a lot of work without the ball instead of with the ball. Relating this system to a 11-a-side formation, it would feel quite a lot like a 4-3-3, but you're asking your two attacking midfielders to do the attacking midfield role and the wing role, which is why it's such a lot of hard work for them. You know, the fullbacks might be able to give some support with that. Certainly defensively, it could feel like the 4-3 of a 4-3-3, and the players will get used to playing that and be well prepared for that 11-a-side. In the attacking sense, maybe less so. Thank you for watching this formation video. I do hope you found it useful. For more videos for 5-a-side, 7-a-side, 9-a-side and 11-a-side formations, go to the tactics section at www.edgeofplay.com.